So, hello everyone, and welcome to the NMRG online meeting of June 2024. So I'm Jérôme François, I'm co-chair of NMRG, and here today there is also Laurent with me, the other co-chair of NMRG. So let's start the meeting. And first, I want to highlight you also as an NMRG meeting from IETF. So as a IETF, you also follow the IETF intellectual property right disclosure rules that you can read now. In particular, if you plan to discuss anything that is covered by patent, you should have informed us and the group. So it's important that you also read that, and there is a related RFC here that relates to this as well. Although this is an online meeting, we also make a recording of the meeting. So you have to be aware of that. So in case you don't want to be recorded, if you speak, of course, you will be recorded. If you put your camera on, you will be also recorded. So it means that in that case, you consent to appear in the recording. So otherwise, please not turn on your camera and microphone. Although I remind you here also the privacy and code of conduct that in particular I would like to add that we need to be respectful from each other when we all discuss together, just as we usually do in other meeting. So again, here you have the different RFCs that you can have a look if you want to know more about the different policy and rules. And it's also important to remind you that NMRG is a research group from IETF. IETF conducts research, not standard development. It's not a standard development organization. So we focus on longer-term research issues related to internet, while the parallel organization, the IETF, focuses on shorter-term issues of engineering and standards making. So while the IETF can publish information or experimental documents in the RFC series, its primary goal is to promote development of research collaboration and teamwork in exploring research issues related to internet protocol, application, architecture, and technology. So please also keep that in mind as well. So here are the useful link, but of course, if you are connected, it means that you have found the link to connect. Perfect. I just want also to remind you that we have the notes that you can also contribute. So again, it's an online meeting. So of course, when you don't speak, please just switch off your microphone, and I will manage the queue as chair. So for the agenda today, so it's all CST time, of course. So it's a short introduction. So after the short introduction, we will enter into the different items of today. So we have two items. The first one is to discuss about IBM use cases, in particular, the follow-up of the Brisbane IETF meeting where there was a proposition to merge draft. And I think Paul and Kian will present all the progress in this direction. And also then we will discuss how we can continue to work on that. And I've seen that there are already some interaction on mailing lists. And then we also discuss about the green networking research agenda. So as a reminder, you know that we have a group document relating to challenges in green networking. So now it's a question to include or not include, let's say green topic or sustainability topic in the NMRG research agenda for, let's say, the following upcoming years. So a presentation from Ali about infrastructure sharing for networking, sustainability, challenge for management and orchestration. And then, as you may have seen also on the mailing list, I share with you some initial ideas of what could be the draft research agenda for an emergent perspective. But of course, it needs to be discussed furthermore. That's why also we plan to also share a questionnaire. And we'd like to have your opinion about the questions and that we may ask globally on mailing list. Okay, so Before we start with IBM, I don't know, Laurent, if you want to add something.
No, I don't have any specific at that moment, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So Paul or Kian, do you have a presentation you would like to share?
Hello, Jerome.
Hello, Paul.
Yeah, so I sent a slide, not slide, yeah, the updated draft. Okay, so maybe the Kehan, do you have some slide to summarize our draft? Otherwise, we can use my latest the draft.
Hi, Paul. I think due to the time limitation, we haven't prepared a slide. I think maybe we can just show the current version of the merged draft to let people see how it goes.
Okay.
So hi, chairs and people and guys from NMRG. So Paul and I and other co-authors have tried to merge the IBM use cases, and we have we have merged we have currently working on a merged draft from based on 4 drafts, and I know that the drafts and are not cover all of the existing document, but I think the first and foremost important thing is to kick it off right now. So maybe Paul, can you share the current version of the merged draft?
Sure. Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, can you see my screen? Draft?
Not yet from my side.
Oh, just a moment. Okay. How do you want to accept? Okay. Okay, IBM use cases. Okay, can you see my draft, right?
Yes, now we can see.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So, Kehan and Daning and I work on the merged draft. So the title is intent-based networking use cases. Okay, so this is we abstractly is we summarize the draft basically architecture or some framework based on our NMRG IBM, the concept and RPC, right? Definition and concept. So we propose several use cases, okay, based on that architectural framework. And basically, we following the life cycle of your IBM system. It includes the initial data collection of IBM system, construction of IBM system, and integration and the deployment, finally evaluation of IBM system. So you can see the table of contents is right hand side. You can see introduction. So our draft consists of 2 parts. The first one is analysis of IBM systems. The second part is IBM use cases. Basically, the analysis of IBM system, we address the important some features and steps for IBM system. So in order to provide the intent-based networking, so the first step is data collection for construction of the model. And secondly, the construction of IBM system based on data collection. And then integration and the deployment of IBM system according to intent. And then we evaluate the translated the intent associated that we can say the policy. So we collect the monitoring data, we evaluate. And then we can check the optimization, whether to optimize the translated network policy to improve or missing something like that. And then the final the step is if we need to modify current configuration or a policy, we need to reconfigure, and then we can deliver to target network virtualized devices. Okay, so this is still, yeah, we have some structure. Some maybe first, the first step we okay, summarized something. So you can see the data collection and the construction of IBM system and the integration case. Okay, integration, the step 6 case we need to work on. Okay, this week and the next week we try to adding text, and then the second part is IBM use cases based on the previous the important architectural framework of IBM system. So we have several use cases dropped. So the first one is you can see the routing and the passive selection. The second one is service level agreement guarantee, and the third one is cloud-based security service system management. And the first one is IoT device management in the 5G network. The last one is software-defined vehicle management. So we explained using the figure and text based on the existing several draft, so we can summarize according to previous the features. Okay, so you can take a look, something like that. Okay, so we have the initial part, and I think that is pretty much. So I think the initial draft, we are working on this one is upcoming 2 weeks, and then we can polish up, and then before the cutoff date, we will submit our draft, and then Kian and I, the Danny, we participate in the IETF 120 Vancouver, and then so one of our editor will present our draft. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Any questions or comments? So, Kian, do you have something to add?
Sure. Thank you for presentation, Paul. So just a few comments, and so originally that we think that mechanically merging all the existing documents of IBM use cases may not be a good way to let people feel comfortable, because all of these use cases draft may not be at the same level. So the primary goal of this document, which we show in the section 2, is to systematically build IBM systems from how it's built to how it's used and how it's verified. So this is the structure that Paul and I and Daniel and other authors discussed and showed to people. So if the authors of other drafts, use case draft, want to join us and want their draft to be merged, I think you can contact us before IETF 120, and we'll come for more comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, chairs, do you have any question or comments?
Yeah, thank you, Paul and Kian, for the presentation and for the update. So for my side, maybe it's not only a chair question; it's more an open question regarding the first section, section 2.
Okay, section 2.
I think you here when you analysis of IBM system. So here, did you, because you mentioned that you have the other RFC about the life cycle of IBM system, right? Do you map this, let's say, different life cycle that you have already in the other document here? Or it's from scratch what you propose the analysis here? I mean, the different items, you have data collection, construction, integration, evaluation. You know the RFC about the life cycle. I mean, where you have concept and definition. We talk a bit about life cycle.
Right, yeah.
Do you consider for this section here to try to align with this document?
Yes, yeah. Maybe, yeah, we maybe add some summarize the concept and definition articles maybe. So, but some 3.5 case software defined the vehicle case. We have the life cycle, the customized for SDV. But yeah, I think that this figure and we can using original the RFC 9315, and then we can put this figure at the beginning of the section 2, and then we can try to some synchronize the analysis and the existing this one. So it is fine.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay. Sure. Of course, I have also to read more in details. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Luis.
Yes. Thank you. I hope you can hear me. So thanks for the document. I don't want to repeat myself. I just wrote an email before the meeting. So just to highlight the point that it's somehow, I think maybe we are mixing here two things, the architectural part, which is interesting for sure, and a good start of defining the architectural behavior of the system that could somehow carry out the intent-based stuff. So we are putting together this architectural view with the use cases. I'm not sure that would be the best way to proceed, because probably we need yet to exercise more the use cases to understand precisely with the life cycle that Jérôme was commenting before, in order to identify the different functional aspects that could be included or should be included in the architecture. So I think that probably could make more sense to separate things. That is one comment. Also, I would like to emphasize what Jérôme was saying about having the mapping of with the life cycle. I think that we need to understand how the different use cases will behave with this life cycle, and this will help us to identify functional behaviors that could be incorporated to that architecture. And finally, regarding the use cases, yes, just to mention that it's a little bit weird that in the draft now are references to use cases that are not existing yet, while there are others existing use cases that are not referred in the document. So I would let's say like to see those other existing use cases also as part of the document. And for sure you can count on me for doing the exercise. So yeah, willing to collaborate on this. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, so I think the Ken answered Luis the email in very detail, and I think very good comment, Luis. So we will reflect your comment and to the actual 00 version this week. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So the other questions, as Lauren or German, do you have any other comment or some suggestion?
Yep. So thanks for starting this work. It's been a long time since we wanted to act on the IBN use case in NMRG. I will say I have, again, the same observation as before. One key aspect I really would like to see in such a common document on use cases is about the so-called learnings. What the people that have developed or tried to solve the use cases using IBN approaches have learned in this process, and what they can share to the community in terms of either methodologies, specific techniques, challenges, difficulties that they have faced. Maybe if they have contributed specific implementation or different modules, or you see what progress to the state of the art has been achieved through the use case and the learning that you can share with the community. I think this would be important to have. I don't know if it needs to be a dedicated section or a subsection as part of the different use cases, but I think collecting per use case the learnings will be a key aspect of such a common draft. So that's for me a key thing I really would like to insist on. The second thing, also raised I think by Louis, is something we will have to think a bit more, is how to let's say manage the fact that different use cases have maybe different level of maturity. Maybe some use cases are, I would say, a bit older and more mature, so they are, let's say, more or less completed. And so it's easier for that to be able to complete, to share the learnings. For the use cases that are still ongoing, okay, being part of the draft is possible, but then the question of being able to provide the outcome is a bit more challenging. So for me, this is a question to the group and to the let's say NMRG process in terms of publication of the outcome. How do we want to move forward with, if we go for a common document, to manage this different level of maturity? One way could be, we say at a certain point in time, we say these are the use cases that are mature enough, and we make a first publication with that. And we have a second round when the other use cases are mature, or we agree to kind of set a milestone to wait for the other use case to complete, and then we will align the publication into one timing. But this is a bit more procedural, but I think it's important to come back to the comment by Louis that we don't create too much discrepancy in how people will actually read this document to make sure that they have the right information up to date.
Okay, I see. So, okay, I have a question, Lauren. So, our use case is just to focus on our the IETF draft, or we also consider other SDO's activity like TM forum, camera, and GSMA, something like that. So do we just focus on our IETF draft or other activity or academia activity, something like that?
Sorry, I'm not sure to capture. What's the relationship with the other SDOs and this document?
So I think the intent case, the TM forum specified the technical some document the intent, and also the camera case. Also, they consider some data center operator-based some intent, some service. They working for the open source project. Also, GSMA also the middle. The camera is the high level. GSMA case translate into specific something. So, Chris, could you summarize current activity about the IBM? So, Chris is also the contributor.
Okay, maybe just to answer your point a bit from a chair perspective. I think we should not confuse the objective of this document. Okay, the starting point was that we have a research topic on intent-based networking for some time into the NMRG, and we had an item on use cases. The idea was to try to come to some completion of this use case oriented activity into NMRG on intent-based networking on the basis of the use cases that are available as of today. Okay, so this is, I would say, in scope of what the NMRG is aware of, and people participating to the NMRG are contributing as part of the NMRG. And the idea of the common document is to, again, make a completion and try to output certain learnings that we can reuse for an architecture, for other things. But you see, it's to wrap up this activity also on behalf of the NMRG. Then, what you were mentioning, of course, there are other activities in other SDOs, also in the research literature, and you can find a lot of things into product implementation deployment. I don't think that it will be a good thing for this document to be a state-of-the-art review and to include too many external references as part of the document. Okay. My point will be, if we manage to get the people that are, let's say, owning those other use cases into these other groups, and they want to contribute to this document or to a new document into the NMRG to present, to detail their use cases, this is fine, okay? But you see, the point is for them to come to contribute to the NMRG, to create, to consolidate the work into the NMRG. I don't think it will be worthwhile to make an analysis of external document, especially if we are not the one, the people are not the one working on those use cases, because it will be an external analysis, and then it's difficult to set the boundaries. What do we consider to be in scope and not in scope? And it's going to make a document very complex and complicated to progress. So my suggestion, strong recommendation will be to try to be clear on the scope and objective of this document in the scope of NMRG. If the group NMRG wants also to investigate a broader perspective, you see, coordination with other activities on intent base in other SDOs or in other research groups, this is something we can do. We can have documents to support these interactions, but I don't think it is the right purpose of this document to have everything in the same place.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Maybe one last thing. Of course, this is totally in scope and relevant to consider references. Huh? If you have external documents that you can cite, research publications, even product implementation deployments, that could help to reflect on the positioning of the NMRG use cases. Of course, this is totally relevant and it's part of the classical, I will say, research work. But I make a difference between injecting the use case as part of the document and referencing external work, which for me is a different thing.
Okay, Laurent, I think, yeah, some other SDO's activity related to intent-based networking. As academia case, maybe the introduction case, we can shortly introduce their activity. But I also agree with you. We just focus on IETF draft. We try to show somehow the RFC 9315, the intent-based networking concept and definition, the life cycle, especially intent-based system, can be realized in their system using our several IETF draft. That is, I think, yeah, our focus is, I think, yeah, we can pursue. Otherwise, distract also, I think it is a very difficult finish this draft. Okay, thank you.
Okay, maybe, yeah, I agree with you, Paul. I think this will be the right approach. Maybe also to stress again, I know this is not easy, especially with the fact that intent-based networking technologies have a certain level of maturity in the industry. But we should not forget that NMRG is a research group, so we should try also to position the outcome of the work in NMRG towards I will say, the research state of the art or the research aspect of the work. Of course, if there are proper standardization in IETF, in other SDOs, I mean, this could be, again, we can have a position with respect to the standardization or engineering activities, but we should not, again, confuse the fact that addressing a use case on IBN in NMRG should not be exactly the same as a proper SDO will address, for instance, protocol design, data model, etc. That will be part of a proper standardization specification. So, also, I think, I know you see, again, there could be also a valuable, of course, use case development through proposing specification, detailed implementation, etc. So it could be also, you see, advanced. This is not what I mean, but we should also always try to distinguish what is a contribution to research state of the art versus what could be, in fact, say, we could have a recommendation to say, okay, based on our experience developing this use case, solving this use case, even with an implementation or some protocol extensions, we recommend that this work is done, for instance, in IETF working group or in an NETC or in ISG, etc., to do proper, more detailed specification work. But you see, we need to put the cursor in terms of the research mandate that we have in the NMRG versus standardization and engineering work that is also the mandate of other groups. But we could have this articulation, and it's good also to say, okay, what we recommend to do, what could be more the standardization activity to follow up on this experimentation we had with the use cases.
Okay, so you're saying we need to address the research aspects, right? That is important, right?
Sorry, I didn't get what aspect is important.
So the NMRG, the use case draft case, we address what is the important in terms of research aspects rather than the state of art in SDO and academia, right?
Yeah, I think what's important with the NMRG IBN use cases, okay, I mean, the use cases are as they are. I mean, at this stage, the point is not to completely change them. But what I mean is that we should always, it's going back to my comment on the learnings. If we position ourselves, you say, for instance, you are solving an IBN use case. You have invested effort, you have developed specific solutions to the specific solution scope, problem scope. You have maybe made an implementation. You have different outcome of the work of the research. So we need to capture the learnings about what gaps we have addressed, what enablers we have developed, etc. As a contribution to research, okay, to the state of the art in research. And then, if there is out of this work a positioning to say, okay, oh, by the way, this could be a good thing to standardize because it could be an extension to a protocol, or it could be an extension to a data model because this can be beneficial to more than one use case, or it could be useful for this use case area for order to reuse. Then you see, we also express what the standardization should do. But again, we should not. I don't think it is the job of the NMRG to put in an RFC in a draft that we start to develop protocol extension, etc. We can make proposal. It can be experimental, but the proper specification and standardization work needs to happen into the proper SDO, IETF, HCE, ITU, etc.
Okay, I see. Yeah, Roland, thank you. So. Okay, I think that is a very good feedback. So I think this we have still last 2 weeks, but so we are working 10 days. We try to address today's discussion and comments guideline. So Kian and I, Danny, and our main authors try to address those things by email. Also, we'll CC our the chairs, okay, Jerome and Ronan. So you guys are observing our activity, okay?
Thank you, Paul. If I would have just make a few comments, but it's in the same in the same way than Laurent. I was a bit disconnected, but so I hope that I didn't miss too much. But I think what Laurent say, I fully agree with necessity. I would say to have in this kind of document the lessons learned. I would say the learning of the different what you have learned from the different use cases. And I think one thing that could be good is try, if possible, try to categorize the different, I would say, outcomes. And you have discussed with Laurent, oh, maybe there are some outcomes more related to recommendation for standardization. Maybe some outcome is related, we need more investigation of that problem in the use cases. Maybe one other outcome is we need to progress on particular technologies. And so maybe try to have, when you will analyze the different use cases, the outcomes of different use cases, try to have a kind of, I would not say template, maybe Canva, broad categories of type of outcomes from the different, let's say, use case, the different investigation of use cases that the different authors have done so far. And regarding maturity, maybe one idea that could be good, I don't know, maybe for the next IETF would be to have maybe a kind of a sum up of what are the different use cases and the different level of maturity of use cases, because maybe personally, I don't have a global view of the maturity of the different use cases at that time. And it might be good first to make kind of show the status for the different maturity level of the use cases, and then maybe it's easier to define, oh, we can try to include all of them or not. So maybe try, my suggestion will be try to do this kind of maturity assessment of the different use cases.
Okay. Okay, I think Yeah, so we address your comment, estimated the maturity. Okay. But those, use case director, I think there is the ongoing work. But yeah, I think the first routing and SLA and third one case already standardized. So ITS working group. So those three cases, I think, mature something, and the first and the PIPS one case are still, the ongoing work. Okay, because I am the editor of those documents. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good. So I think are there any comment or question in the online?
Okay, so thank you again, Paul and Kian, to have presented today, in order to have make the effort.
Okay, thank you.
To for this initiative, because it's a very nice initiative to follow.
Okay,
so let's move on to next item regarding green networking. So Ali, yes, I will share your slide. Just let me 1 second.
Thank you. Thanks. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Jerome, for passing the control. And thanks for including this topic on short notice. I really appreciated the agenda, research agenda proposal shared in the NMRG mailing list, which is quite a holistic and inclusive list of topics. What I wanted to contribute today is about a generalized topic of infrastructure sharing. I'm going to pose more questions than answers, and I want to intrigue, hopefully, your interest in the topic. Infrastructure sharing for networking sustainability. It is a special case of resource sharing. Essentially, we come across in different domains as a primary sustainability primitive. So what does it mean when it comes to management and orchestration? As I said, I'm not going to make a full introduction of infrastructure sharing, but for your research agenda, would you consider these questions? Basically, for example, infrastructure sharing is from the mobile network perspective, for example, which we know and work with, is both sharing passive and active elements of a mobile radio access network. Like it is very common to share passive infrastructure like the towers and the power infrastructure. But nowadays, lots of operators are sharing, beginning to share their active infrastructure like base stations, especially in remote areas where multiple infrastructure deployment is not feasible. And is there a, let's say, equivalent possibility in the IETF domain? This is my question. And when we introduce infrastructure sharing, the first and immediate question is, does infrastructure sharing reduce resilience? Can we manage faults, peak load congestion, and disasters as well as we could? And certainly one of the answers is that without coordination and, let's say, holistic decision making, this could certainly be a handicap. Because if we start resource sharing without considering the end-to-end service, what happens in the higher layers, this could create some vulnerability. And here comes in, I would say, the potential contribution of network management and orchestration. Another question is, can we dynamically manage network capacity and performance? Like, do we have the tools to monitor and allocate resources and also monitor usage of the network? And can we adapt dynamically? For example, we know from spectrum perspective, again, an example from mobile networks in the US, there is a network management solution that allocates spectrum dynamically based on requests. And notably, we heard even that between military and public networks, this works. Of course, military networks have priority, but a management system can allocate these resources dynamically and create really an efficient sharing of the spectrum. So there are examples that this works. And as I said, this is one example, but we should have questions and research where this makes sense, basically in the access, transport, core, or end-to-end everywhere. And my question to the NMRG community would be, what is the role of an potential orchestration layer to make infrastructure sharing a reality? Because if we leave it to the protocols themselves to manage this, or we create, let's say, local solution, this might not be fully optimized. And we have to think not only of the network layer, but also upper layers. What does it mean for quality of service? What does it mean for application delivery? So quite a few questions. And what is it good for then? There are all these technical challenges, but what is the upside? Infrastructure is basically doing more with less, and it is a fundamental principle of sustainability from the early days. Infrastructure sharing enables collaboration and at infrastructure layer, but differentiation and competition in upper layers. Basically, there is this challenge to infrastructure sharing that it might stifle innovation or competition. And it is actually good for innovation in the sense that it creates new challenging questions, and notably for the management and orchestration layer, but also higher layers where you can start differentiating, not based on having your own resource, which is basically relaxing the technological problem. So it requires even more innovative thinking, I would say. And basically, the upside is when it comes to sustainability discussions, we are also looking at the economic perspective, and there are regions where people are not connected because of insufficient economic returns. So if this creates new business models, then it is all the better for the inclusion and also the affordability, which is a win-win situation. So basically, we can create trade-offs from the network optimizations towards network resources, but more, let's say, opportunities at other layers. This is basically the statement. Now, my question is this. Infrastructure sharing needs to be coordinated and managed for optimum outcomes from a sustainability perspective across the network, but also at protocol layers, horizontal and vertical. And could this be a priority area for network management and orchestration to target, and specifically for NMRG? Now, if the time is tight, I can stop here. But if you want to see more background of why, basically these are questions we addressed also in the e-impact mailing list in terms of network capacity being dimensioned for mostly for peak load, not to cause congestion or reduced quality of experience or service, leading to idle capacity and low resource efficiency. We see this in access networks quite often. And in access networks, we are also familiar with, for example, in nighttime, where in a location where 3 operators have their own base stations at low load durations, they can share each other's infrastructure, where 2 of the 3 base stations go to sleep and the remaining one handles the subscribers from 3 operators, for example. Network elements often have high idle power consumption, so we talk about this a lot, and this limits energy proportionality and creates low energy efficiency. If we share resources and we sort of utilize any powered up interfaces, ports to their capacity through sharing, this could be another method for share infrastructure and energy efficiency. And indeed, overall efficiency is one of the key targets, but not the only one. And in terms of the, let's say, impact to society and economy, we have good use cases, which is the, let's say, unserved areas connecting the unconnected, but also in high-end use cases like autonomous driving. We talk to many potential operators of such use cases, and they say that on their own, it is really not economically feasible to cover whole areas with mobile or mobile plus optical networking. It's a massive infrastructure that is often not used to capacity. So something, resource sharing is, for example, a solution in such a high-end use case as well. So in general, we wouldn't apply infrastructure sharing to every location, every use case, but it has its application where it's economically and operationally making sense. And I hope I somehow triggered your, let's say, interest in the topic, and perhaps this could be added to the NMRG research agenda for green networking. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? You're welcome.
Thank you, Ali. Any comment, question?
Hello. Yeah, may I ask a question, Jerome?
Yeah.
Ali?
Yeah. Yeah,
Ali, I
go
have a question. So I think very interesting topic to infrastructure sharing for sustainability, right? So let me ask a clarification question. So your objective is try to let multiple operator to share infrastructure to save money and save some infrastructure capex and copex, right? That is your objective, right?
Yes, yes.
So in that case, the thing is, I think small, some operator case, I think is a feasible approach, but some large operator like Telefonica, in Korea case, SK Telecom and Korea Telecom, LGU Plus, for example. So they are reluctant to share their infrastructure because there is something wrong happen. Someone should be responsible for that some network, some hazard or some breakage, right? So in that case, if share the infrastructure case, the maintenance is, I think, a very important consideration. So do you have any some idea of that?
Yeah, so indeed, there are quite a few examples from the so-called neutral host deployments, especially in mobile networks. And there are service level agreements that cover, of course, anomaly cases. You're absolutely right that the responsibility has to be attributed correctly, and things have to be resolved fast. But I think the industry is quite used to that now, especially also with the cloudification. Like a lot of telecom networks are indeed using hybrid or even public clouds for their even core network infrastructures from the mobile system. And indeed, SLAs and robustness and resilience are key topics they handle already. And these could be borrowed or reapplied.
Okay, I think, especially the open radio access network ORAN case, so that objective try to share the infrastructure, right? So I think, maybe you can consider the ORAN, open radio access network, right? So maybe the good example for this your topic. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Indeed. Thank you.
Okay. We have Marco in the queue.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Ali, for this presentation. It's very good material to make people thinking and to foster discussion. It reminds me a lot. I mean, you mentioned that partially this is already being done on the RAN level, right? If we break that down to a single operator, it also reminds me that there is a lot of research being done in the view of slicing and resource overbooking, right? Yep. So talking about compute resources, and if you apply slices, you may ask for a certain capacity, but you may schedule low capacity and then have smart mechanisms to scale if needed, right?
Yep.
So I think there is a lot which can be used from that level and bring it up to the next upper level to apply that between different operators. I think it's often the case. In particular, we also worked in the past in various automotive projects with multiple operators, and often it's not only constraints in technology that things are not feasible, but it's also political reasons, right? If people want to share, or if people are willing to share and interface components with each other, in particular, well, even if there is proven outcome that this will optimize and improve the situation a lot, right? So there are various factors, not only technological ones, to make that happen. But I think it's a good way to start thinking about that. And so far, maybe it was more kind of cost, kind of motivation behind sharing, but sharing in the view of sustainability, I think it's a good direction. Thanks.
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. And in terms of slicing, operators usually use the slicing mechanisms for their private network implementations, but not so much among operators, indeed. And this could be indeed a mechanism. And from the chat, I can see absolutely that Louise, indeed, the green BOF is happening at IETF 120. I've been following that. And lots of the topics you mentioned in the agenda, Jérôme, is also within the scope of e-impact or the green BOF. And indeed, your agenda can be compared to those and complement, I would say, what network management and orchestration could bring into these debates. And it is essential, I think, when I do system level research on sustainability, and very often we see the need to coordinate between different, not only locations, but also functions and layers to get the desired outcome. So I see a key role of network management and orchestration. And certainly, as Laurent said, different aspects from business, regulation, societal, as Mark also said, have to be included in such considerations. But as this is a research topic, I think it would indeed be good to have a look. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Ali. Let me just go back to the slide. Yeah, so okay, we do not have so much time, but I would like just to briefly introduce what we have done to maybe to prepare and draft maybe the research on green networking. So maybe you had time to read what we shared, the mailing list that you may have seen. We have a kind of header that we put some context in regard to the document that is already a web document with challenges. And yes, as you said, Ali, I think there are some commonalities with what you present, in particular regarding orchestration, and I would say different maybe layer of services and technologies. So depending, it can be on different perspective and within a single, let's say, operator entity with multiple entities. But yes, we try to, from discussion we have, from also ideas we have here, try to start listing some, let's say, work item. One is more related to of course, as you say, we need to be able to monitor and to know, for example, also to monitor the resources you have, but also, for example, regarding energy, the energy you use. Of course, it's important as a reminder that you are not doing here standard. We are more looking for research. So here, what we think could be interesting in terms of research, let's say, problem is not on, for instance, working on protocols to get, for example, to get information about energy usage, but try to be able to approximate or calculate with the best accuracy that is possible, for example, the energy consumption or efficiency of a network as a whole. That is, I think, quite challenging, knowing that most of the time you do not have direct observation. Of course, then it's depending also how you will be able, for example, to figure out what is the contribution of, for example, maybe a function in your network or a flow. And I think this can be articulated well, for example, with some possible standardization work that will happen somewhere else, for example, in the proposed, let's say, green working group, I would say, regarding, there maybe have some let's say, some work on telemetry and monitoring as well. But here maybe more looking at how we can approximate or try to measure it. I think one item, I think this comes from discussion we have with Laurent, with other, regarding what could be, if you want to make maybe energy efficient network, you may face issues that you need to degrade some of your functionalities. So it may be good to consider this topic or this challenge, or try to figure out if this trade-off is how to maybe measure and then how to handle them. And also maybe one potential work item is also to consider end user of, let's say, internet technology in general, because they are already part of the game. And so maybe also have incentives for end user to be involved in making a network maybe more energy efficient. Of course, we have other activity which are related with other work items that we think, like AI, also try to maintain some discussion with the relevant research group, working group, and maybe also open the topic more, not only green networking or energy efficient, because a lot of discussion about energy, but at some point we need to maybe go further, sustainability, and maybe you may try to make things related to sustainable development goals. And I think, Ali, what you presented also is a bit part of that when you talk about economy and society as well. And then the idea is that we will propose a survey or questionnaire on the mailing list that people can answer. And the idea is we'll not read here, but of course you can have a look and then give me your feedback. The idea is just to have a feedback of what people would like to see in NMRG regarding this, let's say, green networking or sustainability topic in general. I would say we still use the term green networking because it was the name of the previous draft, but of course maybe you need to extend a bit. And this is part of one question, I think, as well. And so there is question already of the different topics or areas, the different maybe let's say environmental level, and you say the same. I think it can be at different levels, edge core, whatever. And what will be the scope of the energy, sustainability, SDG, and so on. So that will be a questionnaire that we think that will be good to send. Of course, please give us feedback if you'd like to see more questions that people could maybe answer. So sorry, it was very brief, but of course, if you have any feedback, I will be happy to have now or later on mailing list.
Yeah, Jerome, I think this is going in the right direction. Probably we need to take it to the mailing list again to share the draft research agenda and the questionnaire, and aim for the upcoming IETF meeting to have more feedback and input coming from the group participants on this key aspect, and to have a kind of milestone in July to have a kind of stable research agenda maybe for this topic, also in parallel to what we have with the green buff and the e-impact program.
Sure, thank you. Yes, Ali?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is, in addition to the green buff, also coordination with the e-impact. If I understood it correctly, the green buff will be focused on the energy metrics first, and they will not address research questions as much. But also, as you said, the holistic perspective of sustainability is still in the e-impact program. And what's for the long-term research also needs to be discussed with them as well, with that community. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you all for your participation, for your comment, and hopefully we will either talk to you or see you then in 1 month, in July.
Mm-hmm. Thanks very much for organizing this and the opportunity. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Bye. See you at Vancouver. Thank you. Bye-bye.